welcome to my channel, or welcome back, loyal viewers. I'm Kerry, the nosy housefrau. Please come in, pull up a chair and your favorite beverage out of your favorite jar. We're going to talk about drama and YouTubers. But first, I want to take a moment to thank each and every one of my subscribers, old and new. I so appreciate you, and it's because of people like you that I will someday be able to fulfill my goal of sticking needles of poison in my face. Like anybody who's anybody. So today we're going to talk about the piping hot tea that is Jeffree Star's apology. If I didn't talk about that, I'd be a disgrace to the drama union. They'd drum me out. But first, I'm going to link below a new channel called MissTea The Raccoon by popular demand. The raccoons in my backyard have their own channel. That's probably going to surpass mine in no time. So anybody who likes MissTea can go there. She didn't show up for her premiere the one night. You know, it was a big deal. I'm not going to say anything, but I've heard from other people that I wouldn't say this, but other people have, that she's a little full of herself. And it's a little too fluffed. Okay, so I woke up at 10 p.m., as you do, to find that several people had DM'd me a video that Rich Lux made responding to Jeffree Star's apology video, which I didn't even know that one existed, so I didn't know why everybody was sending me that one, and I'm like trying to wake up and have my first jar of coffee and the most important meal of the day. And I watched Rich's video. Now, before I do videos on a subject, I try to stay away from anything else that might influence me, but I did that twice in this case. I watched a Peter Monn video, and I watched Rich Lux's, mainly because they were put in front of my face on Twitter. But AshlyeKyle posted Peter Monn's video on Twitter, and it said that Gabby Hanna had told him something, so I really wanted to see what that was. And I knew he would probably pull some thoughts right from my head, but he missed a point I wanted to make, so I was grateful for that. So, because you want to be original, and you don't want to be influenced by anything else. So I try not to watch stuff until I get my video up, and it doesn't always happen, but I try. I watched Rich Lux's because out of the people who sent me that video, there were people saying they were very disappointed with him and they didn't want to support him anymore. And I'm like, what's going on? So I watched it, and I have to tell you, what kind of person would Rich Lux be if he ditched a friend because they're getting a pile-on of people trying to cancel them? Just think for a moment. First of all, we don't know. And obviously I love Rich Lux. This is my favorite merch shirt. It's so me. But we don't know how much their relationship is business. I personally think a lot of it is business. And Rich is a very ambitious person. Why take that away from him? But also, what kind of person would he be if he turned his back on a friend for being canceled the same way people tried to cancel him? If anything, that would solidify their bond. The fact that they both know what it's like to get a landslide of hate over your past. So perhaps that garners sympathy from him, and I think that bodes well for Rich Lux's big heart. I will say, and I don't want to jump ahead of myself, one of my chief complaints about Jeffree has always been that he will drop people for hearsay. In his own words, I had people in my ear, and then he ditches people. None of his friends have done that to him here, even though they've had publicly people in their ear and privately people in their ear. Nobody was willing to ditch him over hearsay, and that's better than he's done for other people. Okay, I'm not a big fan of disclaimers. One of my favorite quotes is never explain. Your friends don't need you to, and your enemies won't believe you anyway. Author unknown, found it on a sugar packet in a New York diner. True story. So I just want to let you know that if I happen to come across as being part of an angry mob, that's not my intention. I simply can't help how I feel, and here on this channel you will find my opinions. If there are a bunch of other reasonable people who share that opinion, I can't help it if everybody wants to be right. Now that that's out of the way, I'm about to bash the heck out of this video. Sorry fans, you've been warned. I felt like a few people I saw tweeting that it did come across as kind of condescending. I felt like he was resentful. He sounds like a mom on the playground who's trying not to lose it on her kid, like, I told you to put the rock down. What we are not going to do is pick up that rock again. But that's, of course, not the biggest problem I had with that video, not remotely. Your perception of someone's sincerity, that's an opinion. I'm going to show you things that are not a matter of opinion, that are backed up empirically with receipts and history. You know how they say every good lie includes an element of truth? I feel like every bad apology I've seen from a beauty influencer includes things that can only be explained away or excused. It includes things like gaslighting, subtle manipulations that mostly serve your defense and seem to come across as trying to garner sympathy more than forgiveness, which is supposed to be the purpose. And I'm not saying you should never include an explanation with your apology, of course not. But if all you do is address things that other people can feel sorry for you about or excuse because they were so long ago, then you're not really addressing some of the things that can't be explained away. If you have to apologize for something and there's no excuse, there shouldn't be excuses. There's something people might be missing here. Let me play a little bit for you of what Jeffree said on Instagram. Mama can pull a receipt.
I just want to say to anyone watching this that I will always forever be sorry for all the dumb shit that I've said in my past, all the horrible things I've done, and all the stupid actions and decisions back then. They're uncalled for, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry to anyone who had to see those images, those words. It's completely wrong. I do want to say that I am very proud that Jeffree Star right now owns a very successive, inclusive makeup brand.
Now, all of that was said as it should be. Perhaps without the use of the word successive. I think he meant successful, although successive could be considered a Freudian slip by people like Kat Von Derp. Anyway, everything else, that's an apology. You can't go in a time machine and undo things. All you can do is apologize. But it goes beyond that. Where it gets a little muddled for me is when he starts talking about old Jeffree versus new Jeffree. Old Jeffree, the evil twin, that guy that's completely gone who can be blamed for everything. As if there's no cons list for new Jeffree.
Okay, now listen. There's one other big elephant in the room. The smear campaign, and a few old friends, who were never my friends, P.S., coming out of the woodwork and making up a bunch of crazy lies. Now listen, you guys, I know I've been in a lot of bullshit. I've been in a lot of drama. After last year, I uploaded a video called Never Doing This Again.
Now, he just referenced a video in his defense that I think is the thing that makes him look the worst. And it is the thing that requires the most explaining, and it's the reason why this next part is a complete double standard.
I'm not going to entertain people that want clout and attention and followers. When I leave on a really good note with someone and our last texts are all positive and great, and then months later they make up a bunch of shit about me on camera. No. We're not going to entertain it. We're not going to feed into the negativity.
So you see what a huge offense it is for people creating these lies about Jeffree according to Jeffree, and no, we're not going to entertain it. Meanwhile, to this day, that means it includes new Jeffree. He continues to not exonerate James Charles for the lies that were spread about him. And yes, we know there were lies, because when there were these supposed receipts, he did a come to Jesus moment video, the one he just referenced, that he's never doing this again, where he talks about how he sat with his family and Nate, and he just knew that he didn't need to use all of those receipts. Never says they didn't exist, but looks like he suddenly had this change of heart where we both know he would have let him have it with both barrels had he really had receipts. That is my opinion, and I heard him recently on a podcast doubling down and saying that he's, just this magnanimous guy who chose not to give these receipts. By the way, magnanimous is not a direct quote. That was my choice of words, that he's trying to seem magnanimous. If you told Jeffree Star he was magnanimous, he might try to correct you and be like, oh, no, baby, I'm a Scorpio. So you might say, housefrau. If Jeffree is only addressing the things that he can be defended against, why bring up Cam and Tab? Do all of his enemies have three-letter names? Sam, Tab, Cam? Anyway, I'm going to think about that for a little bit. So... Okay, sorry for a second there. I got a little silly thinking that to be one of Jeffree's enemies, you have to have less letters in your name than he has Pomeranians. So anyway, Tab and Cam, it sounds like an 80s cop show, both have these arguments against Jeffree, and they come out around the same time, but Jeffree has a lot. And I'm going to link a video below where Dustin Dailey has a receipt that this Tab guy was actually kind of flirtatious with Jeffree, which supports the idea that they potentially just didn't get something they wanted from him. And that's how he and everyone else can write it off and say that he's inclusive and successive, and that, all these people just didn't get what they wanted from him. So that comes to a push. Those arguments negate each other, and it's nothing he can be canceled over, because, as you know, if anybody can make an excuse for Jeffree, they will. And so the people want to like him. I was there too. He's got such charisma, and he seems fun and all of these great things, and he'll pick up somebody's check at the Olive Garden, and he has, Shane showed us this other side of him, and certainly somebody who does what he did in those pictures was somebody who suffers, and we all want to see somebody change and grow and not suffer. But the problem is, I'm not so sure he has changed, because he continues to do the very Hollywood thing of lying about someone and not correcting it, because he can invent whatever truth he wants. There's no consequences. Here's the other horrible thing conveniently left out of the Instagram apology. He never mentions that he called Cam and left him a nasty gram regarding that situation, and really twisted the knife, seemed to take joy in saying, I know you're upset, I know your boyfriend doesn't love you anymore and left you. I was disgusted by that. Now remember, Jeffree is the person who called for everyone to please be compassionate and considerate and not show him this picture that he consented to take, that he knew would be out there, and I am in agreement with that. You shouldn't ever show that picture. Nobody should ever post that picture. I'm certainly not going to. I just want to know, where is that compassion for Cam? Knowing this young man is facing a potential health crisis and just had a breakup, knowing that your stans are giving him a landslide of hate even if they have support, they're going through something. He still felt a need to call and twist the knife about his relationship. That is not okay. That is petty, and that should have been addressed, because that isn't in column old Jeffree. That just happened. That's now Jeffree. Remember I said there was a point I wanted to make that I didn't see anybody else make? It's regarding receipts. Jeffree said old Jeffree would have brought up receipts and done all of this stuff, but new Jeffree isn't going to do that. And this is a prime example of what I think is manipulative about him. He's saying he's above it. Well, there's a couple of other things going on that I don't think he's being quite honest about. One, he knows that the receipts don't really favor him. But two, he doesn't have to show you receipts. He looks a lot more credible by letting everybody else do it. Remember, AshlyeKyle said he cozied up to her so that she would say favorable things about him. I think he continues to do that. I guess not all change is good. Certainly, I think everybody should be afforded an opportunity to change and grow and show they've changed. And I want to say something to the people who drag Jeffree continually for stuff he did when he was 17, stuff he did over 10 years ago. You hurt your cause, because people see that and it garners sympathy. He's apologized for it multiple times, maybe not to our liking, but he's apologized for it. So you can keep bringing it up, but it doesn't hurt him, it helps him. Because when the pendulum swings that far the other way, it's gonna swing back the other way, and people are gonna feel sorry for him. So you're hurting yourself. If you really want to hold Jeffree to task, do what's right, be fair, and hold him to task for the things he's doing this week. The things that new Jeffree is responsible for. The things that he really does need to change, and should not be allowed to say 10 years from now that that was the old, not as old Jeffree. Because the stuff he did just last year is Machiavellian. I love Machiavellian. I have all of his stuff. I don't know why I'm picking on Jeffree's vocabulary. He knows lots of big words, I'm sure. Them's just the jokes. So at the end of the day, we're left with what we always left with. I hoped you like this tea, because it's completely meaningless. It has no bearing on Jeffree's future whatsoever. I'm still going to struggle to keep the fairy lights on, and he's going to sell out his next palette in minutes. Whether it's called Decomposing Corpse, with like an eyeshadow called Successive. It could be called like Bowels of Hell and be shaped like an urn, and he's still going to sell it out in minutes, because he makes good makeup and people love him no matter what he does. No matter what he does. If you've listened this far, I so appreciate you. Thank you very much for your view, and I look forward to engaging with you all in the comments down below. As always, I will be shamelessly hawking all of my merch, my P.O. Box, my Twitter, the Raccoon page, everything. Until next time, Hausfrau out.